dust, the land of the sand, one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen. You will rise up to the top.
A grandiose battle is coming. We've all been waiting for this battle to happen. But mostly, the god of the dead, Osiris. The 32 division champions of each realm have progressed to the playoffs, but only one will be crowned champion. The Grand Trophy is awarded to the strongest in the Hall of Fame. But who is worthy now? Are you strong enough to become a champion? Prove it. Overwhelm your enemies. Show off your skills. And be everyone's bet. Let the fight begin.
What What is going on, governors? Chiscool here, and today we're casting the Ark of Osiris League Top 32. And these matches today are important. They're determining who is going to make it into the top 16 on their way to claim that top spot, the #1 champions flag. Today, Song versus P-Toll is the matchup we'll be watching at 13 UTC, this bright and early hour. Momentarily, we'll be joined by Dragothian, the esteemed warrior and commentator and also player of Ark of Osiris League. He's got a team that's pretty far as well in, I think it's the realm of Bastet. But this morning, Song versus P-Toll. There's only a couple matches to watch at this hour, and we're picking this one because P-Toll has to win to have an opportunity to make it in to the top 16. So Dragothian, jump on in here. Good morning, my friend, and hello. How are you today?
Good morning, Chiscool. It is a bright and beautiful morning, and anytime I get to cast with you and cast in front of these fine people, it's going to be a great morning. We've got a great matchup with Song and P-Toll, and there's two other really solid matchups too. We had a hard time picking this week, didn't we?
True enough. Yeah, we did. There's a lot of matchups today that are going to be freaking fire to watch. Especially, I mean, obviously the majority of the matches are stacked at 15 UTC, which is the most popular time, but there are some really hype matches happening all throughout the day.
Yep, totally agree. And we got two great teams with Song and P-Toll. Song being a heavy favorite, not only on betting, but people are using their Eye for Talent champion coins, Mark of the Champion coins for their selection of Song too. And I got to tell you, those are not misplaced. I think Song has a very good chance of winning this whole thing. But to do that, they've got 5 more weeks to get through, and they have to win all of them.
Yeah. I mean, from this point, you've basically, some teams can lose today and they can still advance. But pretty much you've got to win every match to make it to the end, to the top, to wear the crown, to have the banner flying over the Temple of Osiris. And because Song beat OV, the former champion, people have been really swinging a lot of favor to them for sure.
Yeah, they sure have. And the only loss this playoffs for sure, and even before that, before the playoffs started for OV, I think that's the first OV loss they've had in quite some time. And even looking, knowing their Ark schedule and watching some of their Ark matches that they're fighting against, of course, the top tier cream of the crop, matchups before Osiris League comes out every single season, they are constantly innovating and being the ones to beat. And again, Song beat them. So, I mean, they have to vault to the top 2 or 3 alliances that you have to expect to at least make it to the finals. And with this matchup here going up against P-Toll, P-Toll can be eliminated with another loss here. OV also having another match again in this same Group F bracket against 235E, who hasn't won a single match this whole playoffs yet. So we're going to have to see how this all shakes out. Everything could get shaken up with a loss here and a win here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are right that there are certainly probably some exciting matches here in SN versus BG and Squad versus 1V at this time slot. But I think it's time we get into the matchup here for Song and P-Toll, and we can keep our eye on the scoreboard for these other matches. If I make my way back in, there we go. I'll see you in the battlefield in just a moment. All right, here we go. Song, 3.9 billion power versus P-Toll at 3.7 in red. Song players now on the screen, hailing from Kingdom 114. 2 minutes until the battle begins here. Then, in red, P-Toll. Dragothian, if you're in P-Toll's position, you've got to win. You know that this team has beaten OV. What do you do to try to beat a team like this?
Wow, we're starting off with the deep questions early, aren't we? So
yes, bright and early, and the tough questions. Yeah, coming in hot. Right.
How do you beat one of the best teams in the Osiris League playoffs who's already beaten the previous champions? Is that your question to me?
Yes. Well stated, Dragothian. I think that's what I was asking.
Okay. So I don't think there's really one right or wrong answer to that, but I am going to attempt it. So we've seen some different strategies work so far, and some unconventional strategies work with different teams. Obviously, the squad team, we saw some unconventional obelisk strategy stuff. You know, with these teams that are at the top tier, they've been practicing and practicing and practicing. They've been practicing not only what skills to use, but from an alliance standpoint, but also where their people are going to be, when they should be there, how they should be there, rally situations, garrison situations, counter rallies, the whole nine. Every little piece of the puzzle has been practiced to a T. The only way to really disrupt that is to do something that is just not expected. And I think that's why Squad saw so much success with the strategy that they used 2 weeks ago, where they really just flipped the game on its head and said, okay, well, nobody really goes after the obelisks very much. There's not really any defense there. They're all in the open field. They're all in the middle at the arc. Well, let's all go there instead and take over the entire map from there. And something like that needs to happen here. PTAL's a strong team. I still put Song ahead of them just from a capability and strength standpoint, but with 3.6 versus 3.8 billion power respectively, it's anybody's game. That's why we still watch these things, right? So really looking forward to seeing if they can pull something out that's crazy, that's different, that's innovative. We're always looking for that, right?
Well, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. The battle begins. I mean, I like the idea of a Hail Mary, Dragothian. I really do. Like, why just kind of show up and run the same play you've been running all season? If you know that this team is really strong and you've got to throw a curveball in order to, you know, potentially get a victory, throw the curveball, right? Like, I like the suggestion that maybe they should try something really innovative and different. And like, what's the worst case that happens, right? You don't lose that much. I mean, granted, they really do, of course, want to continue to advance. But if you don't think you can win in a, quote, fair game of Ark, why not make things a little unfair and do something that people don't expect?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to. And, you know, what do they have to lose? They're on that cusp where they need to win. They know they need to win because OV has a very strong chance of winning their matchup. So just to be in the conversation, they need to win. And it's not even just win, but, you know, they may need to win pretty big with the way the points are set up in that group. So, I mean, they're going to need to do something fuzzy and fun. And, you know, we'll see if that plays out. I mean, it's definitely an all-in strategy. Curveball might not even be it. That's in, you know, a normal pitcher's repertoire. We're talking knuckleball here. We need something crazy, I think, to make this happen. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well, PTAL first ones to capture an obelisk. Song now following about 5 or 6 seconds later. Then moving those marches downfield, looks like they are going to try some T1 aggression against the folks of PTAL using, you know, a double C to move fast and try to sneak something if they can. Obelisk now being captured for PTAL as well, and boom. Everything's locked up. All the structures, well, with the exception of one for Song here. They'll go and get that. And I will say, having had some experience with this kingdom, that the equipment that these players have, Drago, it's really good for Song.
Like, yeah, really good and specialized.
Oh, yeah. You try to fight them in the field, and you've got, I mean, they've got the commanders, they've got the equipment. If they're using something, it's, I mean, they've, imagine, you know, you've kind of got access to just about anything you could want. So they're using what they think is the best of the best for every activity here. And I'm noticing a lot of rallies, 3 of them. Do you see this? 3 rallies running through the temple area for Song here. This is unusual.
Yeah, double and triple rallying the outpost. In fact, it is a triple rally on these outposts. I've used this strategy before, and at the very beginning of the game, it can be a little disruptive if you're not paying attention to the outpost defense, and you know you're going to have to worry about you know, dislodging what will be basically 500,000 troops in each one of those outposts. This may be a grab for more anti-farmer / anti-garrison for those outposts, more downfield. But it looks like, again, I mean, that they're going all the way down. I've seen it used. It doesn't usually do very well, but it could also slow the progression of this big line of troops from Petal to go towards the Desert Altar, and that's really the main objective for both of these teams is going to be this Desert Altar on the bottom lane.
Yeah. Oh gosh, no garrison ready. So this strategy is catching them fully off guard. We got a Guan in the garrison here, and now they're trying to swarm the rally. I mean, this definitely feels like an inefficient solution to what Song is doing, which it is, even if Song doesn't take the structure, which they might anyways. I mean, this is going to cost Petal pretty significantly in terms of the strength of their marches on the field.
Yeah, they already took the bottom one there on the outpost. Didn't look like there was anything in that one. There was an Artemisia standing by, but it looks like maybe it decided not to actually go into the structure. So a little bit late on that one. The top one does get dislodged. As you can see, again, it's only 500,000 troops. So a few marches can swarm it down relatively easily. And with all these being XY Chandra rallies, I mean, again, it's speedy. It gets there quickly. It's not bad, but if you want to take a look at the top outpost, this is exactly what I mean. Yes, it's doing a great job against this Charles garrison. Looks like a Charles Harold garrison, and it will take it because I don't see any other folks over here to defend. But after it's all said and done, that's a half dead 500,000 troop rally. One march could just redislodge this thing right back off. It does restart the timer. Totally agree. Things like that, and just like that, as we're starting to see all the buildings go in favor of their respective teams, it's pretty even sided. Nobody stole a first occupation on either side. It's just these two outposts on the back line that need to be readdressed, and I think that they will. I think they will get readdressed. I will say I think maybe this bottom outpost for the blue team that's currently on the blue team's side did get maybe the first occupation, but it's only 80 points. It's not a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not a ton, although if you're Petal, you need every point you can get for that differential. I will say they must be up to something sneaky. I saw a Lohar, Drago.
Oh boy.
You see? I saw a Lohar.
I mean,
Petal had a Lohar running around the field. I don't know what that Lohar's doing.
What could that possibly be? What possible benefit could that be?
I can't think of any scenario where you'd use Lohar. I don't know.
It looks like this outpost on the top is going to get first occupied by the Song people, the Song Alliance here. So that blue outpost does go in favor of Song, and it gets the 80 points onto the blue team. So that's one thing. That is a thing. I mean, they took it.
So it's a great tactic. I mean, we gotta put a pin in that and remember that tactic for later. Song doing an interesting move here, fighting in the open field instead of swarming down the Sky Altar. Song's got a massive presence over here by the Petal Sky Altar, and I mean, I think they're going to take the field, and then I think they're going to push down and take the structure. Just sort of moving one at a time there.
Yeah, rally's on the way from Snow, right behind it. So, I mean, why not take out the reinforcing / defending armies before the rally gets there? You're right beside the structure anyway. The rally's coming in. It's not going to be assaulted. It's a Ramses Nebu rally. And as you can see, they're starting to inch closer and closer to the Sky Altar as this rally starts to come on in. So this is perfect for Song. This is textbook, and it's going to require some more attention from the Petal folks on the top lane at the obelisk, and maybe those are supposed to be going towards the Shrine of War instead, although I'm looking at the open field here, and Petal has really heavy presence in the open field in between the Shrine of War of their side and the Desert Altar of the Song side, and there's no support for the rally going to the Shrine of War, although it's way ahead of all the rest of the armies that are supposed to be swarming it. We'll see if that is enough. I don't think it will be with that Zenobia garrison. It's going to be very hard to take, but that Sky Altar is looking rough.
The Sky Altar is looking rough because there's just not enough folks from Petal here, and you can see actually the Song marches were all half health before they even initiated the fight with the Sky Altar, but with all these people arriving from Petal but not getting into the garrison, that thing is just going to fall right over.
Yep, did enough damage early on to stop the counterattack, basically the counter damage coming from Petal, and sure enough, they took that Sky Altar. Now on the other side of the fence there, the Sky Altar, the Desert Altar and the Shrine of War are looking to stay Petal heavy, although on the bottom lane, that Song swarm is going down, and there it goes, Shrine of Life in favor of Song as well. This is a strategy we're seeing a lot more, and especially at the top tier nowadays. keeping the defense on the outside lanes. Well, how much farther and how much longer does it take for those defensive units to get to the middle if they have to sit there and defend the Shrine of Life and the Sky Altar? If you're on the bottom, that's an extra minute and a half of march time to get to the middle, and that's usually long enough to secure the middle as well with 3.5 minutes left.
I really like the outside lane pressure turning into an inside lane sweep, right? So all these marches in the outside lane, maybe they'll stay here. Maybe they'll just defend, but they could sweep to the inside lane once the folks from P-Toll start to go mid. I do see P-Toll waited a really long time and have just now decided that with 3 minutes till the arc is going to spawn, they're going to pressure the Desert Altar. So they're moving up now, getting into position there, not going for the altar itself. Looks like they're fighting the marches in the field. And those folks from Song are just protecting the reinforcements here to the Sky Altar. Jadwiga captain here. Jadwiga captain. Hey, look at that. Jadwiga YSS. You don't see that every day.
You really don't. And I will say, so this is similar to what Song just did on the outside lane to their Sky Altar, kind of clearing out the open field and having maybe a rally coming behind it, which that's exactly what's happening. In fact, it may even be the same rally, a Ramses Nebu coming in. It is from the Devil. That being said, look at the middle. I mean, it's clear that Song has the position. P-Toll streaming in one at a time, and I think that Song should take the initiative here and push forward, take out these 4 marches that are on their own, 5 marches that are on their own, and then likely go ahead and remove all the excess troops that are in the middle and go ahead and move those to the Desert Altar, because right now there's no opposition in the middle, and really all the pressure is on the Desert Altar.
One player from P-Toll is in the middle. So it seems like P-Toll is just not making a play for the arc at all, which means they really need to get control of their own buildings and then just go completely ham on the buildings for Song, right? Like, they've got to take structures. If they don't take structures now, they have a huge problem on their hands.
Yeah, they really do. They got a Wu YSS garrison on the top Sky Altar for P-Toll, which is holding very strong, although there isn't very many more Song marches on the outside just yet. So it's going to look like it's holding strong at least. And looking at all these buildings that are blinking, solo rallies with not much support is the name of the picture that's on the the field right now. Interesting rally coming in. Attila rally from Wolf on the southern side, rallying the outpost, the middle outpost of Song. I don't know if I would have done that. I would have rallied with a lot more marches and maybe rallied the opposing side obelisk and then break at the outpost. That way you had maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 marches instead of just 1 full march and 1 half full march. Again, just nitpicking some strategy things there, but I guess trying to redo what Song did at the very beginning and playing a little bit of an outpost game. And looks like they are. That 1 outpost on the top left is down, although it is double C led, and there's 3 marches coming in to swarm it down, so it'll go back blue very shortly.
Yeah, pressure on Shrine of War here, but I just don't think there's enough gas left in these marches to take down this Shrine of War. And if they get it, it's not going to be for long. I mean, this is not the occupation that P-Toll really needs for abandoning the first arc, right?
Yes and no. So they currently have 3 of the 4 altars. That's helpful. They are assaulting the 4th altar, but that's over. So that's definitely not going to take place. They've lost their Shrine of Life, and it's going to require some heavy commitment to take it back, because it's garrisoned, and you got about 6 marches around it. So that Shrine of Life is not going away anytime soon on the blue team. Blue team also taking the offensive Desert Altar for P-Toll. So now P-Toll losing their advantage and losing their own Desert Altar in the process. Oof. So this is going to be back and forth. And I guess to answer your original question, now that is now in the blue team, no, it's not enough. And with 45 seconds on the top Desert Altar left before points start generating for P-Toll, and Song really coming in with full forces now to support that and take it back, they may not even get a point from that Desert Altar that they just took.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of going for the building game the way that they have, but you know what's interesting? Have we seen any abilities be used yet for P-Toll?
I think I saw a hard push again a second time, but I'm not 100%. I definitely haven't seen any battle buffs, which have they really had a need for it? They've pressured this Desert Altar, which they did take pretty handily. The Ark is in Song's hands right now and currently being marched back to the outpost, which is currently getting rallied by an Attila Takeda. But again, I mean, they're just filling the garrison. So I mean, there's nothing much this Attila Takeda can do. They're just filling that outpost with more troops to take it back. I mean, I just saw Song use hard push again, although to me it was a little late. They should have used it before they took that Desert Altar. That would currently be ticking points for them if they had done so, but they did it afterwards, and that basically made it to where they're not getting the benefit from hard push. So some misclicks, I think, on alliance skills across the board for both teams. But overall, I think everybody's just trying to slam it. I mean, they're just trying to get as many points as they can, as often as they can. And unfortunately for PTAL, they're down on the points per minute game, and they're down in Arc currently. And they have lost their Desert Altar as well. So that's now ticking points in 4 seconds for Song, although there is a Nebu garrison with looks like only one march inside. So that may go pretty quickly back to red. They should probably put some troops in there. And there it goes.
There it goes. Yeah. Rally hit and did the job. And then, wow, ton of folks from PTOL on their way back in here to support this. Although Ramsey's captain, now Esong captain. It is funny how, you could take a building, but then it switches hands like several times before a captain gets in for one side or another. I think this is going to flip back to blue and then flip back to red and then maybe even flip back to blue again, if I'm being honest.
Well, the cool thing when you're swarming like this is it should fill up. So it should fill up with at least, one time it should be full. Now, if it gets reswarmed instantly, which right now I see a couple marches swarming, there is a Trajan garrison sighting, though. So that is a thing. We have a Trajan sighting on the garrison for this Desert Altar for Song. Maybe a quick switch would be nice there for anything else.
I mean, there may not be a better choice, right? They just have the marches they have on the field. Yeah, there we go. So will it flip blue again? Maybe there's not enough blue marches here for that extra flip that I predicted. I mean, I'm curious if it'll happen. But I think what I'm highlighting and what you're highlighting is that, it's pretty volatile when you take a structure right away. If you don't have a captain there, then it's very capturable for the opposing side. And there's so many marches. Just swarm it is the name of the game. Yeah,
at this level, you don't have to necessarily counter rally as much. There's definitely times and places for counter rallies, and there's definitely a need for it. But like you can see right now, PTAL is just kind of sitting around the Desert Altar, just kind of camping. And now I saw Theodora in there, which is very nice for them. Although looking north to the across the no man's land there, Song positioning for another big push right away. It's like it's not even no hiccups at all here. We have a Belisarius grabbing some attention to pull some of those defenders away. Gozak really wanting that Song Belisarius march, as is Inspector Belchi. They want to get that guy bad. That one march is dragging 8 marches away from the Desert Altar. And look at the Desert Altar. Now we've got 10 marches from Song pouring down from the top, along with a rally coming in from Hulk.
Wow, that is a lot of marches committing to something. And I get why they're trying to stop this, though.
Yeah,
they want to stop this guy from killing their gatherers, but they can't catch him. That's the thing about Belisarius and
that's why you do it.
Mobility talent tree and cavalry talent tree. A lot of march speed there. So Song basically gets a free walk all the way up to the Desert Altar here. They're fighting just in front of it, but it doesn't look like they want to just yet assault the altar because they're waiting for this rally. So here, yep, exactly as expected. Free walk to the altar. Rally's now going to hit. They just waltz their way over. And I'm saying free walk. Obviously, they are going to get a little bit of pressure on their way over. But perhaps in a perfect world, you'd meet them further downfield rather than kind of like right next to your altar.
Yeah, that Ramsey rally getting swarmed hard by PTAL, and it's looking pretty good. But the garrison also looking a little rough. I'm not sure if that's a full garrison or not, with half health down already just from a rally and maybe a couple swarms. I don't see how that garrison should be going down that quickly at all. And speaking of which, Song taking on the top lane both the Shrine of War led garrison by Jadwiga and the Sky Altar going down in favor of Song, and Song has heavy field positioning to support and keep that Sky Altar on the top lane. And just to recap as well, Song taking and capturing that Ark of Osiris.
All 4 altars now.
Yep.
For Song. All and the obelisk. Why not?
I mean, it's right there. Go ahead and grab it.
Why not?
Go ahead and grab it. It's right there. We do have a Ramses Garrison on that desert altar on the bottom lane, and at the very beginning, we asked the question. What does P-Tall need to do to possibly win this match? And this is none of this is it. Clearly, you've got Song really imposing their will across the entire map, and that could be more of just Song obviously being a better team than P-Tall. P-Tall going to the mid very early, trying to get my words out before I could think them completely through there. But P-Tall in the middle early and positioning very well. Maybe they're trying to take the next 4 arcs. That's really the only way.
I mean, they're in the middle, but it's like 2 players worth of marches, like 10 marches. I think the trick here, and we were talking about this at the start, is that if you're outmatched, okay, by outmatched, I mean they've got better commanders, they've got better equipment, then you have to outplay them. And so the question becomes, how do you outplay a team that also, like, obviously knows how to play the game and knows how to play this game mode well? And I mean, it's kind of too late for some Hail Mary plays at this point, right? Like, if you're P-Tall, you have to stabilize and get arcs to win from here.
Really what needs to happen is they need to shore up their defense. So make sure they don't lose any buildings going forward, and they have to win the next 3 arcs is really the only chance they've got. And it needs to be quick arcs. It can't be 20-minute arcs. So, I mean, they need to stop losing their buildings every 5 seconds, which continues to happen, by the way. Shrine of Life currently just got taken by Guan-led garrison there. And now P-Tall needs to swarm it back down. They just took back their desert altar again after getting it taken. Sky Altar still heavily in favor of Song and not looking like it's going to be going away anytime soon, and currently ticking heavy points. 740 points per minute for Song and only 110 points per minute for P-Tall. And a lot of that just has to do with just continually losing their buildings. They get 1 or 2 minutes of those points coming in from those buildings, and then they lose it, and it's gone again.
Right. I wonder if there was some combination of skills that would have either defensively for buildings or aggressively to capture buildings that would have really helped P-Tall in this situation.
Well, I think Valiant Stand would be really timely here, throwing it on one of those altars, or certainly the defensive open field skills like defensive formation would look really strong. And this is, if we're looking at the middle, or we can look at the middle really quickly, P-Tall is really starting to stack up in front of the Temple of Osiris, which is the right place to be at technically. But the reason you want to be in that position, it's not necessarily because that you're going to be able to block them from coming to the temple. That's not really it. It's so that you can pounce on an opportunity when you have superior numbers to your opponent trying to stack up, maybe 3 marches length away. And right now, Song is basically doing the same thing. They're just, a little farther away. So they do have to go through that mass, that P-Tall mass, to get to the temple. But now it's gotten to the point where I think Song is starting to outnumber from just a numbers standpoint P-Tall. And now that advantage is going to start. In fact, you've got people coming away from the middle for Song to do other things because they've got so many things look how many players are coming in for Song versus
I actually really
P-Tall.
like the stabilization. Like we said, P-Tall needs to stabilize. They just did. I mean, with the exception
they
of
lost their obelisk.
Eat my words a little bit as they lose their obelisk, but they took back their altars, right? And they're in front of the temple with the better positioning. Now, granted, like I said earlier, Song has got the commanders, they've got the equipment as just a huge advantage in their favor here. So you can't expect to win a temple fight against them with even odds, and here they go. Look at the Trojans in front. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trojans are all in front. Okay, now they're behind because they're so slow. There we go. Mystical Formation being cast for Song. 30% defense boost now active. War Drums as the return for P-Tall.
I definitely prefer the defense buff over the attack buff. I think everybody would agree with me on that one. And now we've got the defense buff for P-Tall as well. Song using, so basically it's even now. They both
It
just
is even.
started them in different order.
Yeah. So you do prefer the defense buff, huh?
I definitely prefer the defense buff.
Interesting.
Defense over attack, baby. For open field battles, absolutely.
All right.
Although P-Tall looking very strong.
You heard it from
Sending
Jakothian.
all those marches back for Song. I wonder if those were half dead marches for Song or if those were full marches. Because if so, Song just lost a good third or quarter of their army there.
Yeah, but Song got the arc. And this is literally the name of the game, right? Yeah. I mean, the problem here is that once you start to move this thing toward your side, even if the opposing side has the better presence, if it's not completely dominant, you have an opportunity to get right back into this thing. And look at those double Cs. I mean, Song is really committed. So yeah, they got it. Yeah. A line from here all the way back to their outpost of double C marches.
You know what Song is really good at? You know, you think about races, right, where they had the baton handoffs, where you got your players positioned across the track, and they've got to go through different quarters of the track and hand the baton off. It's almost like watching that with Song. Now they just lost that as I'm saying that, but they usually did very well with just kind of frog hopping that arc down the field, having the next march just sitting there ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, this mid brawl's over.
Yeah, it's a very heavy Song one here.
Song's cleared it out. So they've got this. Any march P-Tall sends to the middle now is fully wasted at this point.
Yeah. And what I'm seeing to the middle too is very heavy infantry, which again, good in a sense. You want to have that bulked up, but now that Song basically has the whole thing won, I mean, this is over. This middle fight's way over.
You know, we see a lot of consistency in the marches here. Like there's really not much variety. We see Trajans. We see Artemisias, we see Ramses, we see Saladin primary, we see a lot of Nebu primary, which I think is kind of interesting that's the choice they're making. Nebu with Esong. Yeah,
that's not bad.
I mean, no, it's not bad. But it's like all those marches and very little variety. So they've all kind of agreed, like, these are the marches we think are the very best, and that's what they're going to bring.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a picture-perfect middle team. I mean, you just described it. Tons of AoE damage, tons of crowd control AoE. You've got XYs out the wazoo, by the way, which don't forget, I mean, yes, they have an amazing rage requirement, lower rage requirement. They've got tons of damage getting pumped out, but the main reason you want XYs up front is the AoE debuff for defense. I mean, that's huge. That is huge.
It is.
XY debuffing the defense in an AoE fashion. Yes, the damage isn't as high, but again, you're cranking them out nonstop because of the rage requirement being so low for XY. And then you've got Trajans all over the place buffing the rage generation even further. And man, it's just that's a beautiful combination of setups there.
Yeah. I mean, that new Cav Commander really changes the dynamic for open field. I mean, it's the first true AoE Cav Commander at the legendary tier.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, XY is definitely. I think both of us when we first saw XY. I mean, that's a must-have Ark of Osiris League commander maxing out for sure. I mean, you just got to have him. He's a game changer for the Osiris League system. And again, Trajan, same thing. I mean, Trajan and XY both coming out really just shine. They look like they should shine in the Ark system.
Yeah, I like the swarm on this building, which was really low on troops, but it's just not quite enough. I mean, the Tamaris debuff is excellent. Ethelfled debuff, Squan, it's just not quite enough to take that down. So close, though.
Yeah, really close, and now they're taking this arc. Looks like they're going to be taking it back to the obelisk maybe, and I think maybe they could hold this, even though they don't necessarily need to. They absolutely curb stomped P-Tall in the middle handily. It wasn't even a match there for more than about 10 seconds. Andrea coming over here trying to make some moves, and it's just not gonna work, but doing her best. And we got another march coming in from Inspector Belchi trying to come in with his Saladin, but same thing's gonna happen. Gonna get swarmed down into nothingness, into fine powdered mist dust. And this Attila just trying to move the ball along, but eventually does go down.
Okay, so swarming this building just now, I saw 3 different Guan variants. Guan Alex, Guan Herald, Guan Leo.
Uh-huh.
You got choices. Players have choices.
So
Which of those do you think is the best combo if you had your pick of every commander you could have at your disposal?
As second to Guan, is that what you're asking me?
Secondary to Guan.
I think open field Guan Leo's the cheese, right? It's the it's the best of the best. But I think value wise, Leo is best used with Guan. Leo being secondary, that's his main use. He can be used with Herald and other infantry commanders to decent effect, but his main use is to pair up with Guan, the way his shield works, proccing Guan's expertise and all that good stuff. Whereas, if you go Guan Alex or Guan YSG or Guan Herald, those other secondaries are usable a lot more across the board with top tier pairings like Charles Herald or Alex YSG or Alex Herald or getting paired up that way. I think the value, even though Guan Leo is the best open field infantry pair, I think decisively in the game, I think that that's really Leo's best and only use, really, compared to the other ones that could be secondary and used in other ways.
Yeah, I think that's sound advice. So perfect world, you bring in that Leo.
Yeah, we got everything.
Alex
maxed,
is a nice choice. Yeah,
no bigs, and just pick whatever we want.
Oh my goodness. There is some pressure here on the Arc Carrier, and I did not expect that.
There is, and I guess, I have to ask, you got the Zenobia garrison here on the Shrine of War, and there's people peeling off from the Arc Carrier defense to go and tend to that. But you've got the obelisk area here where all the cities are at. And can get easily refreshed. This is definitely delaying, for sure, the arc capture. And PTAL definitely coming in hot, trying to really go all in for this arc. But where are you at? You're deep in Song territory. There's really no risk of the possibility of. You might get the Shrine of War here, possibly, but that Zenobia is still looking very strong. That Zenobia YSS holding very strong against Horseplay and Demon. Look at the stream of PTAL coming from the middle. They're definitely going all in on this. And look at the points per minute. Song is still winning by 140 points per minute during this whole thing. It's only benefiting Song.
Yeah, well,
the delay.
I actually really like this play. I don't think it's going to work, but I really like it. And what I mean is there's maybe like a 5% chance that they catch the arc here and they get the Shrine of War and they cap it at the Shrine of War. But if you're in the shoes there, okay, so now it's captured for Song. But if you're in the shoes of Ptol, like, you need a Hail Mary, and that was kind of like a Hail Mary potential catch-up opportunity for Ptol, right? If it had worked. And I'm not saying I think it's likely, but if it had, it would have been absolutely spectacular. See, they got the Shrine of War. They just didn't have enough to actually get that arc as well.
Yeah, it had just gone too deep, and they just grabbed it at one of the buildings. Or one of the cities. It was just right there.
Yeah,
they did capture the Shrine of War eventually, and they'll get swarmed down. It'll be Song to swarm it down now, and even though it does have a YSS primary in there as a proper garrison, with plenty of reinforcement here from PTAL, eventually this is going to go down, and it's now a 100 point per minute game, still in favor of Song, and now they've got 2 arcs under their belt and about 13,000 points, 12,000 points in favor of Song. So it's just. You definitely didn't want to delay much further, so at least they captured it now, right? So if nothing else, PTAL made Song cap it now. Maybe Song's play was to hold it a little bit longer and stop other arcs from spawning. But with what I've seen in the middle so far this matchup, looks like Song can basically just walk in whenever they want, even without the best positioning, and just take it.
Yeah. Definitely leveraging the commander and equipment advantage that they've got here, which they should.
They should. That's what makes them the top tier.
Yeah. I will say Ptol's doing a pretty valiant job here, holding the Shrine of War. YSS doing some serious work.
Sure. But again, I guess I'm still looking for the thing that's going to disrupt Song. And I haven't found it yet. Yes, that was fun to watch, the stream of PTAL coming and chasing after the Arc Carrier, and it was all in between the Shrine of War and the Song base there on the bottom lane. But now the Shrine of War is back in favor of Song, and all those marches are going back home for PTAL, and they're still streaming marches up here from the bottom lane here, one at a time. And Song has proven time and again that they are experts at picking off marches one at a time, coming up from the bottom lane here. So I mean, I'm underwhelmed, unfortunately. I think that, you know, PTAL, like you said, is valiant effort, but valiant effort doing what? There's nothing special happening. I don't see what it's going to take for them to win this match. You know, are they just going with the flow, or is there something getting set up? I don't see that happen.
Right. So I think what we're observing is the fallout from that play they made for the Arc as it was retreating to be captured, not working. And so this is all fallout from that play, which leaves them in a really bad position to make something else happen. And so the question is, what is the something else they could even do? With 5 minutes till the Arc spawns, and they've only got one altar. I mean, Song is driving this match and controlling the flow of the points and controlling the flow of the arcs. To win from here, you'd have to get all the altars and score an arc?
Score 2 arcs and not have what altars just happened. Yeah, what just happened at the top lane with Song basically taking the Shrine of War and the altar from PTAL not happen anymore. And that's basically what's been happening the entire match. I mean, you can see it in the points per minute, 360 points per minute for PTAL versus 660 for Song. That's basically, I mean, they've just been, you know what? This is basically the HKL strategy. I mean, if you want to put a label on it, this is what HKL did to win their second seat in the second season. They just kept taking the buildings and letting them take it back. I mean, yeah, they didn't get to get those 800-900 point per minute totals. You know, did HKL, but they had 600, and they always had their opponent at 200 to 300. So I mean, who cares? Who cares if it's 1,000 points per minute when you've got your opponent consistently 300 to 400 points per minute under you? It's just going to expand from there. And, you know, talking about expanding, I mean, the marches inside in the middle lane are expanding in a heavy way for both sides. They are going very, very hard on both of these sides are for the Arc here.
Nice. That's going to be exciting to watch. There is a Jadwiga garrison that we can just get a peek at. And just to speak to that for a moment, if Jadwiga is not being used in any of the structures that are on kind of each team's closest side, their closest structures, I think this to me signals that Song thinks that Jadwiga is good to use as a garrison just because she's got some march speed and they could get her downfield faster with some calves. Does that sound right?
Yeah, for the offensive side, absolutely. And I think, you know, and again, it's kind of what we thought about when we saw her mobility garrison. Why would you want to do that? Well, I mean, get a garrison commander down the field faster. Yeah, that sounds great. I think that's probably what a lot of us thought when we first saw her, just from the talent tree perspective. Obviously, you can't have all the talents, right? Because you want to have a little bit of leadership talents. You want to have a little bit of garrison, and certainly whatever you can get to from a mobility side. She's the quintessential offensive garrison. You want to have her up front, but I still think if you can get one of your more tried and true Xeno something garrisons, or even a YSS Theo up front, it may just do a little bit better performance wise than Jadwiga.
Yeah. You know, there were a bunch of rallies as I was just kind of cruising around that were unsupported. And I don't quite get the rationale for this, but, you know, an unsupported Attila Takeda into a Zenobia feels like a rally probably not worth launching, and you use those troops elsewhere, right?
Yeah, and you know, the marches being elsewhere. We're staring at the middle here. You know, that's why they're unsupported, because we've got all these different marches all in on the middle. This is likely going to be. I know there's just under 20 minutes left. This will likely be based off of the size of the battle that's about to take place here. This may be the last arc that spawns. So both sides going very heavy to the middle, but I still do see some assault on the back lines here for the outpost, and Song holding that outpost. That double C primary is just not going to cut it against Attila Takeda. This middle here is looking very, very testy.
Yeah, we're going to get a nice mid-brawl. I like a good mid-brawl.
Big one.
I mean, this is the time where you use to the death probably, right? If there's maybe only one arc left. Is this it?
I think it is. I think this is going to be the last arc for sure, and this is going to be the last chunk of points. And looking at the total points, right, there's about a 14,000 point difference in favor of Song. I don't think that there's anything that's going to make up that gap with only 18 and a half minutes left, but at least we can get a very nice mid brawl, and let's see to the death. We're looking to see Heaven's Grace. We're looking to see War Drums. I mean, there should be 10 points for each side. I haven't seen many skills be used throughout the match. I expect to see some 6-pointers. I expect to see a couple 2-pointers. Be used throughout here. We're looking for some solid skill usage, and I'm looking to see how they're used and when they're used. And looking just like that. Looks like Pitol's pushing right now.
Pitol's looking to be the aggressor. Okay. Charging on in. Trajans, Artemisias, and Guans in front. There's the bunch of Ramses as well. Boom. It's on, baby. The arc has appeared. To the death has been activated.
It's
both sides.
Just a stream of skills. Here we go.
I think here's my prediction. Blue's going to get a breakaway with the arc and run this thing back to their side.
Oh my God, there it goes.
That's my prediction. They're just going to walk away with it.
There it is.
It's gone. Bye.
Williams got it. Although it is going down pretty quick, so it may not.
There
go
we go.
Far.
Good play from that one player who's, let's see, Lawau Jr. for Pitol. That was a great play. I think they were the only one who saw that arc was going to run off, and they got it. That was really important for them. But Song, saying, okay, fine, one arc carrier down. Let's hand the baton off, as you were saying earlier, to the next carrier, and it's marching down the field. Carrier now down.
Wow. I mean, again, we figured there was going to be an unloading of skills, and that's exactly what happened. And just seeing all the character portraits here, tons of Trajans, tons of Artemisias, which is a great play here. We're talking about Trajan, Harold. We're talking about Ramses. We're talking about Guans, YSGs. I even see a Genghis William in there, which is a solid pair, although I'm not sure if it's tanky enough for the middle. But XY William likely would be a little bit better there. Double C primary coming in on the top lane from Time Kills, maybe trying to come over here and ninja this arc away from the Song side, but Song has other plans. They grab it and is going quickly.
Man, I hate to say this mid-brawl is already over, but you just look at the health of the marches here. All the marches in red, and there aren't that many of them, are really low, and all the marches in blue are half health, full health.
Or better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just looking very, very blue here. And look at all the sad faces for the red team just going back 3 to 6 at a time. That's not a good clip. With one finally going back for the Song team there at the top lane. Not good.
Yeah. So, I mean, this arc is looking blue at this point. They're going to run that thing back, and it would take some sort of sneaky move to rip that thing out of blue's hands.
I wonder if they're going to go back to the obelisk again this time, or if they're going to go towards the outpost. Last time they went towards the obelisk and obviously had a little bit of a fight on their hands. More coming from the bottom lane for Pitol, but Double C primary being the only one coming there, just one march. Everybody else is in the middle. I mean, they're just in the middle. They sent everything, and unfortunately everything is now headed back with sad faces for the red team.
Yeah, so Song now pushes forward, I think, right? Yeah. Which is what we're saying. They'll push forward and start to swarm some structures. There is still quite the ball escorting the carrier, and I guess they figure,
this is it.
We don't really have to take any buildings, do we? So let's just make sure this carrier's okay. Double C coming out of nowhere to knock on the carrier's door here, although I just don't know how much that matters. Yeah, like, what does this accomplish? I don't know.
What you just saw there, so the Double C that came in from Pitol using the caravan to effectively hop into that scrum without getting targeted. I would have loved to have seen a smart play from Song there. Somebody hop in that caravan so that red march couldn't have done that. Not that obviously anything really happened, but those are the little things, Chiskel, that you want to see your players as an arc captain and as kind of a field general trying to organize your troops. You don't want to have to micromanage things like that. You want your players to just know to do that. And it's just like an open field for KVK, right? Where, you've got, a farm killer, or you got 4 or 5 people harassing the sides, and they're using the resource nodes to get around. You put your marches in those nodes so they can't use them, and then they can get tracked down on the field. Same thing happens inside of Ark. You want to block that caravan so that that fast march can't just basically hop right into the middle of the scrum and start attacking your Ark carrier, which is currently happening right now.
Which is currently happening. This double C came out of nowhere. Dude, I don't know where these double C cons keep coming from, but that is pretty impressive. What's also impressive is this carrier. How is this possible? Double C Con was just wailing on the carrier and couldn't bring him lower than red?
Well, I think that speaks to the testament of the fact that Double C Primary is nothing for damage. Double C Primary just is made for movement speed. And Andrea coming in hot with her Double C Primary half full march. That's the other thing. I mean, it already does little to no damage, and then you're talking about a half dead march on top of it. Is using T5, so that's helpful. But here comes an XY. It might do a little bit more damage if it can catch it, which it looks like it can. Andrea, again, using the hasty departure talent from the mobility tree there from that caravan at the top. Again, just like I said, could have maybe put a blue march in there so that Andrea couldn't have done that. And now you've got 2 marches cracking down on this Belisarius. But again, like you said, this Belisarius is getting a little tanky here. Who's the second to that Belisarius?
Tanky. I mean, Belisarius gives like 30% defense, right?
No, XY. It was XY.
XY. Well, that's not offering tankiness. It gives you a little speed. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Everybody's picking up the Ark now. Oh yeah, they're just gonna cap this thing, I would assume.
I mean, there's nothing left.
just turn it in, and that will mean if they do turn it in, there'll be one more Ark. Whoa, look at this. Well, where's this guy coming from?
He was just sitting there. I thought my screen was bugged. Nobody was doing anything. He was just sitting there in the middle of 20 marches. He was just sitting there on my screen, and he just like, oh, we're still doing stuff. And he started attacking the Ark carrier. It was crazy.
Wow. Well, they've got the Ark. There's a surprising number of red marches from P-Toll that are able to get right next to the Ark. They picked it up for a second.
I gotta tell you, this is just the weirdest Osiris League playoff game that I've seen in quite some time. I mean, I'm looking for next level plays, and I'm just not getting them. And then, we've got the Arks, and just Song is so dominating in the middle. They're like, okay, this is my Ark now. And they just, okay, well, it's ours. We can just go ahead and remove everybody from defense and let the P-Toll folks just march wherever they want, use the caravans to hasten their speed towards the Ark carrier as they want at will. And I don't get it. Song just, it's like they don't know what to do once they've been successful with the Ark. I don't understand.
We got to give P-Toll a little bit of credit here. 3 altars at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's a little late for 3 altars to make any sort of a difference, but it's a nice pickup.
It is. And the Ark carrier finally broken away from what was a scrum there, although just moving around, and I think they're doing the right play here. If he can just hold on to it for another couple minutes, that will basically eliminate the chance of another Ark spawning. And then Song can just kind of sit there and camp on their structures and throw some rallies towards their enemy and call it a day. They're doing the right thing here. Not that there's really a risk for another Ark being taken away from them. This will be their 3rd Ark handily won. Demon doing his best to at least swipe at the cape of Double C. With his salad in there, but unfortunately did not have enough health to do so. And looking to probably see this get captured in the next minute and 50 seconds. I think that the 8-minute mark, they'll go ahead and cap that Ark, and then that'll be all she wrote.
Yeah, well, pretty cool to see P-Toll pushing that structure game right now. What they needed to do at the start of the game, for sure. I think maybe Song has just kind of committed a lot of marches to moving that Ark, which is why P-Toll's been able to really push the structures now.
If there's one knock with Song, and I think it's very prevalent in this match more than anything, it's they can get a little lackadaisical. When you're watching sports, right, and you've got a team that's, I think one of the Super Bowls maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'm not sure if I'm able to say that on the cast here, but there's the biggest game in football, in the U.S. football, where they were up by like 40 points and they just kind of started cruising, and the other team came back and ended up winning the whole thing. I feel like I'm staring at that in Rock form right now, where Song is just kind of, okay, well, we've got the match, and they can't lose. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
everybody
at this point,
in chat, they can't lose.
No.
There's nothing they can do to lose this match. They could even give them the Ark and they would still win.
The Ark and all the structures.
And all the structures.
It's not enough time. Yeah.
It's just not enough. But, when prepping for what is about to be the realm, or not the realm, but the round of 16 coming up next week, and, a lot of people have you tagged as maybe the one that's going to win the whole thing in the prestigious realm of Horus for Osiris League. I think this is a perfect thing that they need to go look at whenever they're going back and be like, what was everybody doing here? Like, where were the commands coming in? Who was executing? Who was just kind of floating around? And right at that 8-minute mark, again, they did capture the Ark there, like we said. So, I mean, this is, again, just pretty much game over. But something that needs to be addressed on the Song side, definitely. A little bit of lackadaisical play for the last maybe 5 minutes or so, having known that they had the match wrapped up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've got 3 altars now, though. So they're back to being aggressive here. They're pushing on this Shrine of War. Let me ask this question, to get your perspective for the audience. But a structure has got a rally and some swarming marches on its way over. Okay, You're the defender. Do you swarm the rally? Or do you swarm the marches of the enemy that are going to swarm your building?
It depends on the rally. If it's a very squishy rally, I would swarm the rally. But usually, you do want to swarm the swarmers first. One, you get much better trades. You're going to have more troops on the field available to swarm the rally afterwards. But 2, if it's a heavy damage, really squishy rally, at least get the rally down to like 3/4 health, something like that, and then switch to the swarming defenders. Or the swarming attaché that's coming with the rally, I think is the name of the game. Especially you want to take out those Trajans, you want to take out those Ramses, definitely any El Cid or Guans, you want to get rid of those as quickly as possible. Artemisia pumping out a ton of damage and usually in front of a YSG or, again, an El Cid, which is definitely crowd control central. You want to get rid of all those guys that are debuffing your damage, debuffing your damage output and damage taken. And then anything squishy. So get those things out of the way. And I think you've seen that with Song on their defense. They swarm the field first, then they swarm the rally. And it's easier to do that because once the swarm's done, that's basically the only thing that's going to take these structures from solid teams is the swarm.
Yeah. Yeah, the swarm is definitely the name of the game for structures, and we're seeing that here. Jadwiga, not the best captain to handle that swarm.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. She does reduce damage taken, but is sort of not her specialty. I feel like Zenobia's second skill, reducing the normal attack damage you take, is pretty significant for handling that swarm.
Yep, and imagine Zenobia Wu, I know Zenobia YSS is the meta, but Wu's clearly the quintessential anti-swarm commander, and you pair that up with Wu, who also has those anti-swarm properties, and I'm surprised we haven't seen Zenobia Wu as often as I would think in Arc, just because of that one purpose. The anti-swarm capability of that pairing is very strong, although Zenobia YSS just wrecks everything, so that's pretty sweet too. And with Theo, you remove all the debuffs, which is nice, and that's a big part.
Big
of Arc
deal.
As well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, such a big deal for all those swarming marches for sure. Trajan captain over here. Let's go.
Hey, next level strat. I was asking for it.
Pretty sure, is that Trajan Herald captain? Yes.
That's their building. They can do what they want to.
Yeah, with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left, you are right. They can do what they want here, and I don't know that there's a lot they can do to influence the final score at this point. So, reflecting on everything that unfolded in this matchup, if you were to go to the PTOL coach for their team and give them some advice, what advice would you give to the captain or coach for the PTOL team?
Well, it's funny you say that. So there's a good portion of this team that actually used to be in Kingdom 225 with me on my Arc team. Very solid players. I mean, these guys know what they're doing, and a good chunk of them are spenders. So I mean, some of these are definitely not have nothing to do with spending or the lack of equipment or anything like that. I will say, knowing some of these players, I know some of their weaknesses, and a lot of it has to do with coordination. And I think you saw that kind of play out, right? So when they're swarming the Desert Altar, that's great. They did a great job before that first arc, right before that first arc, swarming that Desert Altar. But was that the time to do it? I don't know if that was necessarily the case. They did a great job swarming it and holding it for a couple minutes there, but losing 3,000 points to gain 300 points, I don't know if that was the play. We just need to think logistically and think practically. Yes, taking this structure is a great thing, and yes, we need to take structures, but are we going to take a structure at the expense of losing 3,000 points? I think that's the thing I would tell the leaders of this team. And I talk to the leaders of this team every once in a while. I know these guys really well, and they're smart people. They're not dumb individuals. So I'm sure that this is all part of what they've talked about throughout the weeks, leading up to this battle. But at the same time, it's really hard to execute your exact strategy when you've got a team like Song who is just so overly dominant. Like, you've got a plan, right? I'm sure P-Tall had a plan. They didn't execute that plan today. If I asked them after the match, hey, did this is what you planned, right? They're like, no, this isn't what we planned. We didn't plan on losing by almost 20,000 points. Are you kidding me? They're like, no, we planned on winning by 5,000 points. But because Song is so strong and overwhelmingly devastating, you can only do so many things on your plan before you just kind of throw your hands up and be like, just go get them, just go get stuff. And strategy starts to go out the door at that point.
Yeah. I kind of wonder, I mean, if one of the takeaways for P-Tall might be to just kind of look at what marches they're using, right? Because if the challenge is being able to crush in the field and win fights where they take them, then maybe the marches and combinations they've got here need a look. I mean, they got a lot of cons running around, just as an example. And I don't think I've seen a single con on the side of Song.
Does
that make sense?
It does. Well, XY is an upgraded version of con, isn't he?
Yeah, a quite upgraded version.
Yeah. And we see tons of XYs on both sides, but more so on the Song side. And again, that has to do with, their ability to procure later game top tier commanders with legendary Jesus level gear. That's kind of the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a tough team to battle into, for sure. Very entertaining to watch as they both play here and execute their strategies. I just think that, man, I mean, you just see from those mid fights that Song really has quite the leg up with the commander and gear combinations they were using.
I will say too, again, having known these players for years in this game, especially on the P-Tall side, they do tend to get the short end of the stick on the seeding for Osiris League. Obviously, if you want to get to the end, you need to beat the best of the best, and Song right now is the best of the best in my opinion. So there's no excuse here. But in years past, they've been paired in the same group as OV, including this year. They were in OV and Song this year, so I mean, double trouble. And,
wow, really getting the tough end of that deal.
Yeah, exactly. Getting the double-sided thing there, and then defeat here. But JWM in the past in the same bracket as JWM. I mean, just can never catch a break to get past the round of 32 or round of 16. To get deeper into these playoffs.
Well, there you go. The MVP Hulk from 163,000 individual score, looking at the final score, 50,000 to 28,500. And the story here is arcs and occupation, right? To have a differential like we see here of about 20,000 points. I mean, Song has won arcs and occupation. And we've talked before, Drago, about how you got to be good at arcs or occupation, one or the other, and in this case, they took both, which is impressive. Provision score also dominant by about 2,000 points. The kills really tell that story, though, don't they?
They really do.
20,000 differential there. Oof. And that is just massive. That is a massive differential for field control. I mean, wow.
Look at the units healed, too. I mean, you got 4.4 million, which is not a whole lot, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, but only 300,000 for Song. That's just another, you know, you lick the tip of your finger and you make a point in the middle of the air, right? You just another notch for Song. And
I think somebody accidentally healed troops for Song. Whoops.
Yeah.
I mean,
my T1 need to be addressed. So
yeah, there you go. I don't have any T1s. I need some more to go sneaky capture a structure.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's jump back into the caster's booth here and debrief everything we saw.
That's great.
We'll be right back. All right, so let's get a look here at the schedule and things that took place. In fact, let's go back to the watch screen and read off these scores. Song versus P-Toll, we just watched. The BG versus Super Naughty battle, 52,700 to 29,000. And the 1V versus Squad battle, 53,000 to 26,600. So these matches were all, in some ways, extremely similar in their final outcome here.
They sure were, and all the winners. I mean, these were almost identical matches, eh? I mean, if we transpose the points to the other matches, I mean, were they this big of a drumming as Song was against P-Toll? Is the question.
Yeah. If we look at Group C, which is where that 1V and BG and Squad and SN matches, that whole group was playing this morning, we see that 1V and BG are going to emerge to the next section. So congratulations to them to making the top 16. Also looking to Group F, Song advances as well to the top 16. Congratulations to Song. They are, I think, unmistakably the favorite at this point, right?
Yeah, they're definitely one of the favorites. I mean, even though OV did lose to Song, you know, OV is a very quick fixer of an issue. So I'm sure over the last couple of weeks they've been drawing up, you know, counters to what happened. I think TR is a solid team that is looking strong in the playoffs. And then the matchup coming up at 15 UTC Chisco between JST and SX54. These are 2.6 billion power teams that are playing like 4.5 billion teams power wise. These guys are playing like juggernauts and cannot look at the power as, you know, as an indicator in these playoffs going forward for Realm of Horus. All of these winners going to the Realm of 16 or the round of 16 are going to be capable of taking the whole thing. Let's not kid ourselves. These guys are juggernauts.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed the casting today, throw a like on the stream. And if you'd like to see more of our content, our YouTube channels are linked in the description of this video. And you should definitely subscribe if you haven't already to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, which is what you're watching right now. For more Ark of Osiris League casting, Dragothian's going to be back at 15 UTC to cover the SX54 versus JST matchup. I'll be back at 19 UTC covering a little bit of the Realm of Bastet. You're not going to want to miss it. Dragothian, any closing thoughts?
Not really. I think we nailed the commentary. We had a great match to watch, both you and I, and certainly I hope the audience had a great time listening in and following along with the cast. And I'm looking forward to seeing some matches continuing throughout the day as we roll into the round of 16. Chisco, great to partner with you.
Nice. Well, folks watching, we'll see you back on the channel at 15 UTC for more Ark of Osiris League. Until then, good luck in your Ark matches, and we'll see you there.